Pakistani players are not being considered by Indian-owned sides in next month's 100 auction. Not unlikely to be picked, not low interest, not being considered. That is an extraordinary thing to admit about a supposedly global merit-based sport. This was reported on the BBC Sport website. If you know anything about BBC, they tend to check things over and over again before they report them. I am angry about this, not performatively angry, genuinely angry, because what's happening to Pakistani cricketers right now isn't just unfortunate, it's structurally unfair. And according to this BBC Sport article, it's being quietly normalized by people who run the game, who frankly should be ashamed of themselves. Let me quote what the BBC Sport piece by Tom Grundy says. 4 of the 100's 8 franchises are now part-owned by companies that also own IPL teams. Those teams are Manchester Super Giants, Mumbai Indians London, Southern Brave and Sunrisers Leeds. Now, BBC Sport in this article has said that they've seen messages in which a senior ECB official suggested that interest in Pakistani players would be limited to teams not linked to the IPL. An agent described this, a player agent described this as an unwritten rule across T20 leagues with Indian investment. That phrase should chill you. Not just if you're Pakistani, anybody. An unwritten rule, not policy, not regulation, just something everyone apparently knows, but nobody wants to say out loud. Now contrast that with what the ECB publicly said last year. Richard Gould, the ECB chief executive, said he expected players from all nations to be selected for all teams in the 100 and warned that clear anti-discrimination policies were in place. Those are strong words, Richard. Those are the kind of words you issue when you want to reassure fans that the sport still has values. But according to this piece, according to BBC Sports reporting, that shows that reality doesn't match the rhetoric of what was said. Because if franchises are quietly being told that Pakistani players are off limits, not officially, just unwritten, then those anti-discrimination policies are meaningless, aren't they? And none of the 4 teams or ownership groups involved even responded to BBC Sports' request for comment. They reached out to them. This is what the BBC does. When they write something, they give the person they're writing about a right of reply. So they reached out to them for a comment. They said nothing. Silence is a choice. Let's be clear about something. This is not about performance. Pakistan's men are ranked 6th in the ICC T20 rankings. The women are ranked 8th. A lot of those players belong. In the women, you got Fatima Sana. She's as good as anybody. She's superb. The men, there's a long list of players that should be playing. This is a top tier cricketing nation. Players like Mohammad Amir and Imad Wasim played in last season's 100. Shaheen Afridi, Shadab Khan, Haris Rauf, they've all featured in earlier editions. This is not a talent issue. These players were good enough before the investors arrived. They didn't suddenly become unselectable. There are so many players in this Pakistan team that's currently playing in the T20 World Cup that would make a great fit for any of the teams in the 100. The only thing that's changed is ownership. And that is deeply, deeply uncomfortable for a sport that loves to talk about opportunity and pathways and global growth. And this isn't just the 100, by the way. No Pakistani players are featured in South Africa's SA20 since it launched in 2023. Every single SA20 team is owned by an IPL franchise group. That's not a coincidence. In the UAE's ILT20 franchise, the franchises I'll start that again. The ILT20 franchises controlled by the owners of MI London and Southern Brave have not signed a single Pakistani player across its 4 seasons, despite recruiting cricketers from 15 other countries. 15. Meanwhile, the American-owned Desert Vipers have signed 8 Pakistani players in the same period. So the pattern is not Pakistani players are undesirable. The pattern is where IPL ownership exists, Pakistani players quietly disappear from recruitment. This is not a coincidence. This is a structural isolation. Yes, there have always been convenient caveats. People say things like, what about NOCs? What about Pakistan's national team's scheduling? What about the PCB politics? And yes, the PCB has previously withdrawn NOCs at short notice. A lot of boards have, but BBC Sports article, in this article, by the way, they point out themselves that 7 leading Pakistani players featured in Australia's recent Big Bash League, they built whole advertising campaigns around it, which, by the way, clearly demonstrates a flexibility which is possible when franchises actually want these players. So let's not pretend this is just about logistics, because where there is a political will and a commercial incentive, suddenly solutions appear. Would you look at that? This is the part that really bothers me. Cricket constantly tells us that it's a global game, a game of fairness, a game of values, a game that wants to grow beyond old power centers. But when money enters the room, those values seem to very quietly just leave. People just think about whatever serves their cause or their immediate self-serving factor the most. If a franchise owner can effectively shape who is selectable across multiple leagues, then the sport is no longer governed by merit, it's governed by geopolitics and commercial convenience. And when boards like the ECB, the English Cricket Board, sell large chunks of their competitions to external investors, they also sell a degree of moral authority. You don't just sell the teams, you sell control, you sell influence, you sell your ability to say things like, this is wrong. So here's the uncomfortable question. Is global cricket now just a vast wilderness where decency, fairness, and merit quietly get overridden by money and political sensitivities, convenience, isolation, or turning a blind eye to isolation, I should say, where certain players are continually treated unfairly and everyone else just shrugs and says things like, oh, isn't it awful, before they just move on? Because Pakistani players belong in the 100. They belong in the SA20. They belong in every serious global league on merit. Saim Ayub is ranked number 1 in the all-rounder rankings in the ICC's T20 rankings. Sahib Zada Farhan is number 3 in the batting rankings. Usman Tariq, hello, this is a team getting ready for the Super 8s of the T20 World Cup. You're telling me that they don't belong? Please, please don't insult me, okay? Don't insult my intelligence. And the fact that they're being quietly sidelined, not officially banned, just conveniently ignored, is a shameful travesty for a sport that claims to stand on something more than profit. Because clearly, if this is to be believed, everything in this article is to be believed, it's all about the profit. Pay for the teams, do what you want. We don't care how immoral it is. Some serious questions need to be asked. Is the 100 really about cricket for everyone? Or is it just about creating a plaything for the highest bidder? I'm angry, annoyed, frustrated, because frankly, I expected better from you, ECB.